I mean, that you said that that's their mentality, even though you don't agree with them, you disagree with them. But their mentality comes from what? A personal opinion? Their mentality
comes from emotional frustration.
Their mentality, their decision making, I think, comes from the Quran and what it teaches. Their goal, you said that they're unhappy with foreign policy, but let's say that they are unhappy with foreign policy. There's a lot of other people, non-Muslims, that are unhappy with some of the foreign policies that this government has taken. But does that mean that you wage a holy war against the West?
Okay, we can absolutely agree that they can interpret the Quran to justify their frustration, to justify their actions. But the reason why the agenda of Al-Qaeda is very clear. The agenda of these terrorist organizations are very clear. They are not satisfied. In fact, they're absolutely angry about foreign influences in their countries. This is why they're frustrated. It has nothing to do with spreading Islam or anything of that nature. It's political.
Waleed, it has nothing to do with spreading Islam. It's all political. Your comments, and then we'll move on.
Well, then why Islam invaded Spain and invaded Egypt and invaded Persia, and Khalid ibn al-Walid beheaded Persians galore until the blood coagulated in the rivers, and why the problems in Indonesia, and what did the Egyptian Copts do in Egypt to suffer the yoke of Islam in Egypt, and why would Malmö, Sweden suffer a rape epidemic in Sweden by Muslim youth, and why did the imams, after addressing the issues, will tell them cover the meat? The men want, if you put meat in front of a cat, then it is not going to eat the meat. You better cover your meat. In other words, the woman better start wearing hijab, the idea of hijabization in Europe, too.
Can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead. And then we'll take our first call.
His example, again, is erroneous. It's like apples and oranges. It's like comparing the Crusaders with the Westboro Baptist Church or the guy who wanted to do the Quran burnings. It's comparing two different radical elements for two different time periods that have absolutely nothing to do with one another. What we're discussing here are these terrorist organizations, specifically Al-Qaeda, Hamas, and whoever else that you've mentioned, and what their agenda is, and why they're doing the things that they're doing, and what that means for us as Americans. And what I'm saying to you very clearly is that they have an agenda. We agree. We know what that agenda is. They've constantly articulated what their agenda is and what they're trying to do. And it has nothing to do with theology. It has nothing to do with spreading the word of the Quran. It's entirely political, and they're again frustrated with foreign policies that they feel are invading their countries. But again, I don't agree with their reasons, but psychologically speaking, it's for us to empathize and understand their psyche and mentality and why it is the way that it is.
Well, with that, I'd like to take our first phone call. You're live on ABN with Jihad Exposed. Who do we have on air with us? Welcome to Jihad Exposed. Hello. You're live on ABN. Who do we have on air with us?
Yusuf.
Yusuf, welcome, brother Yusuf. What's your question for us?
The question is the Muslim guy.
Yes, Brother Farhan, what's your question for him?
There is a hadith. Did you believe in this hadith? مجتمع امرأة ورجل إلا وثالثهما الشيطان. If man and woman sit together, the third one is devil. Did he believe in this one or not?
I'm gonna give you an opportunity to respond real quick before we move on. Farhan.
No. I mean, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I'm not going to sit here and answer that question.
Okay.
No, this is Hadith Nabawi.
It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
We will take our next call. You're live on ABN. Welcome to the show. Who do we have on air with us? Welcome to ABN. You're live with us. We must have lost that call. Again, our numbers are 248-416-1300. Give us a call. Tonight's topic is Al-Qaeda in America. I want to ask you a question, Waleed, and then I'll give Brother Farhan an opportunity to respond. You know, the international jihad movement is said to be decentralized, so it makes it very difficult for our government to follow it and even predict the next steps. But then, if that's the case, how then are crowds of followers inside the U.S. able to follow up and keep up with it?
Well, yes, they are decentralized, but of course you have cell phones, you have internet, you have travel. The world travel is pretty open. You have many American Muslims who attempt to go to recruitment in Al-Qaeda, to get training in Al-Qaeda. We've had those cases, several cases here in the U.S. So we have a very open society today. It's very easy to even go through Google and find out specific spots and locations, and so the world is in a ways become one. So it's very easy for Islamic movements to come to this country based on religious education, or even sending visiting professors. My mentor Jamal Saeed, who runs a mosque in Bridgeview, Illinois, still he was raising funds for Hamas. It is said he was a colleague of Abdullah Azzam, who was the godfather of Al-Qaeda. He was a visiting professor. So you also got visiting professors in this country who are a part of the terrorist apparatus. I'm sure you've heard of Sami Al-Aryan in Florida University, who was convicted, and many also leaders from the Council of American Islamic Relations. Some of them convicted 65-year prison terms and 20-some-year prison terms of financial terrorism and so on and so forth. So as I said before, most Americans are not aware that the infiltration of the fundamentalist Muslims by the Muslim Brotherhood was here in the 50s even. The Muslim student unions began in the U.S. in the 60s. Now you have 150 universities, Muslim student unions, that most of them are fundamentalist, radical Muslims who bring speakers who are pro-terrorism. You can see a litany of YouTube clips on them. So, in a nutshell, we have a serious problem of infiltration and overseas infiltration from Muslim countries that harbor the agenda of the radicals.
Yeah. Kamal, in your mind, is the U.S. opening the door for Al-Qaeda, and how?
Unfortunately, I want to apologize again. I was out for a long time to reconnect with you all. But yes, they are. We even have assault camps in the United States of America, by Al-Muhajirun and by Al-Shabaab, and then also, many mosques, are raising funds, for terrorism, including, like Masjid Ar-Rahman, in Orlando, Florida, and several others. They're on YouTube, you could not miss it. This is happening. It's recorded by the FBI themselves and released by the FBI themselves. No doubt, Ummah is one nation under Allah. Muslim will stand for Muslim first. So in the effort, my brother Abdur, is trying to say, it's not happening, and he was disagreeing with earlier. It is, this is definitely the action that he must take in order to stand with Islam. Otherwise, he would not be fighting for Islam. But the truth is, if you read the Quran and the Hadith by itself, even by Muhammad himself, he said, "Inni umartu an aqatil ash-shu'ub," the whole world. This is a mandate by Muhammad himself. It's a doctrine. The Prophet of Islam said so. So now, in order to be a Muslim, you have to fulfill this, whether you're lying or not. So if, and the Muslim, like when you look at Islam, like Saudi Arabia, in an effort to invade the United States of America, today, we even found some families that they come, and you can find them on CNN. Some family were sent here specifically, paid by the Saudi family for that result, for that infiltration. Now, on the American, agenda, when our government is setting $10 million for people to move from Hamas group to the United States of America, helping them to migrate to the United States of America, knowing that they are condoned as a terrorist organization, there's something wrong with that, So, and this is public information. This is nothing new.
Farhan, your comments, and then we'll take a call, and then we'll go to break.
I'm sorry, the thing was cutting on and off. What was the question? What was the comment?
Well, I wanted to just see if you had any comments to what Kamal and Waleed were saying about infiltration of Islam in the United States. If you don't, we'll take our next call.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would definitely like to comment. I mean, as an American, I'm really offended that they are even insinuating that this country is opening up its doors to Al-Qaeda or any other terrorist organizations. It's just like asking the question, is America opening up its doors to racism or disrespecting parents. Just because we have freedom in this country does not mean that this great country is going to allow crimes at the level of treason to occur.
Then why? Can I ask you a real quick question? Why do we then see organizations, Muslim organizations like CARE, as soon as we try to attribute terrorist activities to Islam? I mean, it's very simple. It's basic. It's right there in front of us. They cry Islamophobia, and then the West can't even speak about something like that. You say that it's very simple, that, okay, it's bad, we shouldn't accept it, I disagree with it, but then why don't we see everybody, even all Muslim American individuals and organizations, supporting what you have to say?
I mean, there's different organizations out there. I know ISNA is the Islamic Society of North America, which is the largest Muslim organization in America, Islamic Circle of North America, the Muslim Students Association. They've consistently and constantly opposed and condemned all terrorist activity and individuals who've been involved with terrorist activity. I know that for a fact, and I've been very observant towards that. The Council on American Islamic Relations, as far as I understand, they haven't supported Imam Awdaki or Al-Tamimi or these individuals who have blatantly committed treason when they've called their congregations to do harm in America and to America. They have condemned those. I mean, you're going to have to point out a very specific case in order for me to comment on it.
Kamal, do you have a specific case?
Which case?
Oh, I was asking Kamal if he had a specific case. Waleed, did you have a specific example for that?
Example for what?
He was saying, well, Farhan, why don't you quickly say it to him, and then we'll go to break.
You want me to ask?
Yeah, just re-ask your question to Waleed. We seem to be having some audio issues. Ask your question to Waleed. You said that if he can provide a case for you to refute about, Muslim organizations in the States, then he can comment on that.
Right, because what I was essentially saying was that I'm very familiar with many Muslim organizations, including the largest Muslim organization in the country, Islamic Society of North America, who have been very consistent and constant in their condemnation of terrorism and terrorist activity and individuals involved with comments against the United States of America. Can you provide any particular scenario where a large Muslim organization such as ISNA or CARE have tried to defend someone who is blatantly involved in anti-American rhetoric?
Every time there is a terrorist attack and people begin to say it's terrorism, CARE is the first to jump and say this is Islamophobia. Second of all, CARE, the Council of American Islamic Relations, you had Bassam Khafiji, CARE former community relations director, who was arrested for involvement with the Islamic Assembly of North America, ISNA, which was linked to Al-Qaeda as well. After pleading guilty to visa and bank fraud charges, Khafaji was deported. You had Rabi Haddad, a former CARE fundraiser, who was deported for his work with the Global Relief Foundation, which was co-founder of Terror Financing Organization. In 1998, also Omar Ahmed, CARE's co-founder and longtime board chairman, said Islam isn't in America to be equal to any other faith, but to become dominant. The Quran should be the highest authority in America, and Islam the only accepted religion on the earth. Of course, you have books and litany of things on the Council of American Islamic Relations, ISNA, and every Islamic organization in this country. Either our guest has just fell from Mars, or he is hiding the real agenda that he also has, which I'm beginning to suspect is not really exposing terrorism, but defending the apparatus that really is playing the good cop while the bad cop is blowing us up.
Well, with that, we see that the rise of Islamic terrorists is certainly creeping up with even American-born al-Qaeda operatives working against this country. You may remember Adam Gadden converted to Islam in 1995 at the age of 17 at a California mosque. Let's listen to what he has to say. We're going to take a look at a quick clip, and then we'll come back, and then we'll go to break. Let's listen to what he has to say about his own country and the role of Muslims in this country. Take a look.
I am calling on every honest and vigilant Muslim in the countries of the Zionist Crusader Alliance in general, and America, Britain, and Israel in particular, to prepare to play his